Hello and welcome to the XFO Intelligence Podcast channel. We live in this age, right? An age that's, it's defined by artificial intelligence and the climate crisis. And because of that, we are, I think, obsessed with control, with design, with these big top-down solutions. But what if the universe's deepest pattern, the real secret to creating these incredibly sophisticated, resilient systems, what if it was something else entirely? I want you to picture something for me. Two images. First, you've got the intricate, almost fractal-like branching of bare tree limbs in winter against a pale sky. And second, picture a century-old anatomical illustration, one that reveals that delicate, vascular network of a human hand. Yeah, to us, to our modern eye, these look like just exquisite pieces of engineering. But, to an ancient Chinese sage, they would be recognized as something far, far more profound. They'd see them as manifestations of the way, of the Tao, proof that the universe expresses itself not through some grand design, but through growth. And this insight, it's 2,500 years old, preserved in texts like the Tao Te Ching, and now it's being validated by modern science. I mean, through slime mold experiments, agent-based modeling, complexity theory, it's all there. And it offers this radical alternative to how we think about, everything. At the very heart of this whole philosophy is an idea called Wu Wei. Now, it's often mistranslated as just non-action, but that's not quite right. A much better understanding is non-forcing action, or maybe effortless doing. It's not about being passive at all. It's actually a really sophisticated method for working with the natural patterns of things instead of fighting against them. As Lao Tzu wrote, "The Tao does nothing, yet nothing is left undone." I know, it sounds like a paradox, but we can actually see it in action. Take the humble slime mold. This is amazing. When scientists put it in a maze with food scattered around, it doesn't sit there and calculate the best route. No, it just flows. Parts of its body just respond to local chemical signals. They reinforce the paths that lead to food, and they abandon the ones that don't. And within hours, it has formed a perfect network, the shortest, most efficient path. It's not designing, it's practicing Wu Wei. It's just flowing with the conditions. And get this, scientific simulations show that systems that practice this principle consistently outperform the ones under rigid central control by 40 to 60%. That's huge. This lines up perfectly with another concept, ziran. It means something like natural spontaneity. It's this recognition that things have their own inherent nature, their own way of developing. The Daoist philosopher Zhuangzi, he told this famous story about a master butcher, Cook Ding. His knife, apparently, never got dull even after carving thousands of oxen. And when they asked him why, he said, "I go along with the natural lines, slip through the great crevices, follow the contours, and avoid the tough parts." See? He wasn't forcing his will on it, he was aligning with the ox's natural structure. And we see this everywhere. I mean, the fractal patterns in river deltas, in our own neural networks, in mycelial fungi, and even in the growth of our cities. These patterns aren't imposed from the top down. They emerge from the inherent properties of flowing energy and matter. They are expressions of ziran. This whole dynamic is captured in that famous symbol, right? The yin-yang. And it's not just some abstract idea, it's a really precise description of how complex systems balance things, how they balance constraints and freedom. So yang is the active creative force, the rules, the structure, and yin is the receptive yielding force, the chaos, the freedom. If you have too much yang, too much control, the system gets brittle, it shatters. Too much yin, too much randomness, and it just stays a formless mess. The sweet spot, it's in their dynamic balance. And here's the crazy part. Modern science has actually found the number. Agent-based models consistently show that systems get their maximum resilience when they have a balance of about 65% freedom, or yin, and 35% constraints, or yang. This is not a coincidence. It's the mathematical expression of ancient wisdom. So, what would it look like to actually apply this today? Well, in artificial intelligence, instead of engineering these rigid architectures, maybe we could act more like gardeners. We could create rich environments, set a few simple principles, and just allow intelligence to emerge naturally. Or for climate solutions, instead of just building massive seawalls to fight floods, we could design what they call sponge cities, cities that absorb and work with the natural flow of water. That's wu-wei for urban planning. In our companies, we could replace those rigid hierarchies with principle-based autonomy. The ideal leader, as Lao Tzu said, is like a gardener, barely even noticed, who just creates the conditions for growth to happen all on its own. In our age of disruption, we really face a choice. Do we follow the old design paradigm of control and predictability, or do we embrace the growth paradigm of emergence and adaptability? Chinese philosophy, now backed up by science, it shows us that the universe itself favors growth. Our role isn't to be the master of complexity, but a participant in emergence. So here's a question I'd like you to think about. I invite you to just become an observer of the patterns all around you. The next time you see a tree, a river, or even a crowd moving through a city square, don't just see an object. See a process. Ask yourself, how did this pattern emerge? Was it designed from the top down, or did it grow from the bottom up? Think deeply about how these forms came to be, because in them you will see the way. And you might just discover that our highest calling isn't to control the world, but to cultivate it. Thank you for listening to the XFO Intelligence Podcast. If this episode sparked your curiosity, please like, share, and subscribe to our channel for more deep thinking on the patterns that shape our world.